y'all, it's Heather, and I'm so excited. I have the new BellaBeauteBar Vamp palette. I absolutely love BellaBeauteBar. They are one of my favorite brands. They are always putting out high quality palettes, and this palette is no exception. I'm loving the color story. I'm loving the inspiration. We've got like famous vampires and vampire associated things all in this palette that has this color story that really is going to give us a variety of looks, which I can always appreciate. I want options, okay? I want options, and this palette is giving us options. It's also in magnetic pans, so you can pop these shadows out, you can rearrange them, mix them, and match them with other BellaBeauteBar palettes if you want, or other palettes with pans this size. I will make sure to link to the BellaBeauteBar site down in the description box. I will put the launch information, when this palette's going to be available, the price, everything I can in the description box, and also I will put my affiliated code, Heather. It will give you a discount on the BellaBeauteBar site. This collection also has a liquid shadow. I'm going to do an eye swatch for you with the shadow and a look, but it's just so beautiful. It doesn't crease on me. I'm so into it. And I have a gloss. I will also make sure to link my BellaBeauteBar playlist down below in the description box, because I have so many videos on their palettes. I have more looks that I've already filmed with their collections that are coming soon, and I'm just super excited for this vampire inspired collection. Now let's jump in to the eye swatches. I'm going to zoom you in nice and close. All right, y'all, getting into our eye swatches, I want to let you know for today's look, I am wearing two BellaBeauteBar palettes. I'm wearing the blush palette, the baked blushes. I'm wearing these two shades right here, and then I am wearing my Oracle Chrome highlighter palette, a favorite for years now, and I'm gonna prime my eyes. I always use an eyeshadow primer. That is how shadows work best for me. If you don't like to use eyeshadow primer, that's totally okay. I'm gonna swatch on my hand. That will be my bare skin, and then I'm gonna use an eyeshadow primer, and we are going to apply the shadows first to my hand, then I'm gonna swatch with my finger on my eye, and then I will go in with a brush. That way, however you like to apply shadows, hopefully you will see the shadow truest, like how you like to use it. You will get to see that method. My personal favorite is using a primer and with a brush, but we're gonna do it all the ways. Oh, this palette is so pretty. I'm excited to swatch this with y'all. We are gonna start by swatching these 4 shades. This is the shade Michelson, and this is a black with a red shimmer. So it's a matte with a little bit of sparkle to it. I absolutely love these types of formulas, and Michelson, I believe, is a reference to Vampire Diaries, and then a crossover to the originals. Next we have a matte shade called Drained. Look how smooth and pigmented that matte is. So drained is what a vampire can do to someone. Drain them, right? So this is like a deoxygenated blood color. I'm here for it. Next we have this shade Shadows. Oh, wow, wow, wow. So shadows, I feel like, is pretty self-explanatory with vampires. You know, maybe they should stick to the shadows. I'm also thinking the show, like what we do in the shadows about vampires, but I feel like that name kind of fits for everything. But I did think of that TV show, which is pretty crazy funny. But look at that shade. Oh, it's so pretty. Next we have a true red. Think like arterial blood, okay? That is a matte shade, and this is called Immortality. Yes, I'm like, let me double check. Immortality, which again, self-explanatory. Vampires are immortal beings. So beautiful, beautiful shade. And the last shade in this row, well, I said we were only going to do the first 4, but let's go ahead and do 5 because I already have it on my finger. This is Salvatore. So this is, again, a Vampire Diaries reference. I'm like, this is kind of a hard angle for me to put it, but sparkly red, so pretty. If you were just to show me these 5 shades and say, like, what's the theme of the palette? I would be like, vampires, blood, like I see the vision. Okay, I'm gonna finger swatch the shade Drained, the beautiful deep dark burgundy red color right there. So if you like to apply shadows with your fingers, you can see it goes on top of the primer really, really beautifully. And then I've got to do the shade shadows. Like, I cannot wait to get this on my lid. So we're gonna put this one right over here. Oh my gosh. It's so stunning. It's so beautiful. I love it. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna use my dual-ended Sigma brush to kind of go on with this shade, making sure I'm kind of patting and blending. I just want to see with these matte shades if it's the BellaBeauteBar formula that I know, love, and expect from the brand. Is it pigmented, but is it also going to blend easily? That is a beautiful shadow. Like, you can see that it blended out really easily. It's very intense, it's pigmented, it's smooth. I'm really into it. Now I'm using a brush. I'm not doing anything other than eyeshadow primer, finger, brush. I'm not using any extra adhesives. I'm not spraying my brush. I'm not doing any of that for the eye swatches. I'm going to blend this up kind of high just so that you can see the shadow like the most, you know? Like, if I was doing a one and done look, would I take the shadow up this high? No, I would keep it a little lower, but I want to give you like all the space to see how the shadow performs. Now, my deep set eyes and the way my eyes are shaped do not make it the easiest to capture the shifts like this on my lid on camera, but I wanted to try for y'all. I feel like you can see it. I turned the lights down so it would kind of pick up in that low light, the shine, and you can definitely see it. Definitely more impactful in person, but you get the effect. Here's the shade Immortality. So it's that bright kind of vibrant red shade, and that is really pretty, like so pigmented just from my finger to the lid. And next to it we'll put the shade Salvatore, that beautiful red. Let me make sure there's no creases in my eyeshadow primer, and I will pop on that shade. Wow, I love a good red. I think it's so impactful and intense and just like speaks confidence. I know a lot of people feel that way with a red lip. I love a red shadow. Here's how Immortality looks blended in with a brush. This is a really beautiful red that is not pink. Now, as I blend it out, you could definitely get a less intense shade. Like, you can see, the more I blend, the more I kind of shear the shadow out, the less intense it is, but it is a true red right here. I love shadows like this that blend so easily, and it almost can look like you have two different shadows on the lid. If I didn't have it so blown out so that y'all could see it, it would definitely blend even better, but I'm not gonna take it all the way out, you know? Like, it's just a really beautiful red. And here is Salvatore blended in. It's a beautiful metallic shade. You can see it's nice, it's an intense red, it's very like shiny, and I'm so into that. Really absolutely beautiful, not having any issues with it being patchy or anything like that. Like, it's just impactful and exactly what it should be. We're gonna eye swatch this shade right here, but that completes this row. So I wanna go ahead and pair it with this shade right here called Daylight Ring, which is another Vampire Diaries reference, I believe. Let's see, what if we swatch Daylight Ring right here? Oh, hello, silver. Wow, that is, that's delicious. Michelson right here. This is the matte black with the red shimmer in it. So I'm gonna pat that on. That looks like it's gonna be a very impactful black. We'll put Daylight Ring right here. Wow. Wow, that silver. daylight ring is so intensely silver. It's wild. Like, that is so foiled. It reminds me very much of a foiled metallic shadow, to where it just looks like, I don't know, it almost looks like it's some type of like foil overlay that I have on my eye. Like, it's not even a shadow almost. It's that intense. I love that. Now, when we come over to Michelson, if you want that red shimmer to show up, you're really going to want to pack the shadow on. So you're going to kind of press the shadow on to get that red shimmer to show up. You can see, like there on my eye. But if you take the shadow and you blend it, that shimmer is gonna kind of be like almost blended away, and you're gonna be left with a easy to blend black matte eyeshadow. So as I get up here kind of in the crease, and I'm showing you how it blends, and I mean crease as in socket, because look at me. I have deep set eyes. I'm 37 years old. I have lots of creases, but I'm gonna blend it up into the socket so you can see how easy to blend this shadow is. And you can see there's really no sparkle in the way I'm blending, but down here on the lid where I press the shadow on, you have the shimmer. I love these types of shades. I think they're versatile. I think they're typically easy to work with, depending on the brand, of course. But from BellaBeauteBar, I definitely love this formula. These shadows are stunning. So we swatched our whole top row and this silver. Let's go ahead and hand swatch this bottom half of the palette. Like, we'll just go ahead and hand swatch the rest of the shades. Here is the shade Lestat. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. And then we're going to swatch the purple shade right here. That's not the best place to swatch, but that is the shade Threshold. So like the legend that vampires can't cross like the threshold of a house unless you invite them in. I'll swatch Predator right here, pastel-y purple. I got a little bit of blue in it, but can you see that's a pale pastel-y purple? Let me go over that one more time. There you go. Here's the shade Hello Brother. Oh, now this is a holochrome. So it is a multi-chrome with like holographic sparkles. Oh, so pretty. And this shade is a reference again to Vampire Diaries. I really think BellaBeauteBar is feeling Vampire Diaries with this palette. Next though, we will swatch Skin of a Killer. This is a Twilight reference. Edward, he has the skin of a killer, Bella, and we'll put that right there. That does look like the skin of a killer. It looks like a sparkle, intense shade. It looks like diamonds. I'm here for it. Next, we'll have the shade Undead. So vampires are not living, but they're not dead. So they are undead. Look at that. That's so intense. That is another holochrome. So it is not just holographic. It is a multi-chrome with that holographic sparkle to it. Oh, we love it. We love to see it. Here is the shade Claudia, who is from Interview with the Vampire. So is Lestat that I swatched right here. So Lestat is in Interview with the Vampire, Queen of the Damned, and so is Claudia is in Interview with the Vampire. That's a pretty shade. We have Eternal next. Eternal vampires, you know, they don't die, so let's put that shade right there. That's a really beautiful gray blue shade. And last but not least, we'll swatch the gray called Coffin. And why don't I put that right there? See if I can get a good swatch with my pinky. I can. That's a beautiful swatch. I mean, BellaBeauteBar always performs well, so I'm not surprised. But let me clean up these swatches, throw on my eye primer, and we'll get to eye swatching. Here is Lestat. Put that right there. One of the most iconic vampires ever. Beautiful navy blue. I noticed like I have a little sparkle on my finger, I must, or my brush or something, because I've got a little bit of sparkle in the shade, but that's not the shade, that's just me. We'll put Hello Brother right here on this lid. I love a sparkle shadow, y'all. Y'all, you can see how pigmented this navy blue is. Like, right? You can see how beautiful and smooth and pigmented it is, which is one of the reasons I love doing these eye swatches, because you can see for yourself how the shadow goes on, how pigmented it is, the shade it is. I'm blending like the edges of it so you can see that it's nice and blendable. I mean, it's deep, dark, and intense, but then the more I blend it, I can get it to kind of fade out. Just, I mean, that's truly, truly a beautiful shadow. Hello Brother. I'm just going to put this on with my brush, pressing it, and then going to lightly blend it. Oh, that makes me so happy. I don't know how else to say it, like, but the sparkle shadows make me happy. Look at the performance of these. Look at it. BellaBeauteBar, they're not messing around. Here in the low light, you can see some of that shift. Again, my deep set eyes aren't the best for this technique, but I mean, it's my eye shape. So I'm gonna do the best I can with it just so that you can see. Oh, so pretty. I really, really like that shade. I did not do the best job of getting that blue matte shadow off. I thought I did, but there must have been a speck of it left, because when I put on my eyeshadow primer, it like definitely kind of spread the blue around. So for that reason, I'm gonna go into the shade Eternal, just another bluish shade. And I'll put that on my lid right here. You can still see it. I just had a little bit of that navy lingering left over. Not a ton, just enough to lightly tint my eyeshadow primer. So there is Eternal. Right here, I'm gonna put Skin of a Killer. This is the Skin of a Killer, Bella. It cracks me up every time. Last time I did eye swatches, y'all let me know that it was helpful that I swatched a couple of the shimmers over top of the mattes. So I'm gonna put Skin of a Killer over Lestat right there, and you can see how that transforms on top of that dark navy. And I will also put it right here on top of the purple shade called Threshold. So I'll just put it right there, and you can see that it really takes on that kind of purple hue, and it takes on that navy hue. Don't play with me and say you don't see the pigment and the smoothness and the blendability of this shadow. Like, don't even try, because wow, that is so smooth. I mean, that's impressive. That is impressive. Let's blend out Skin of a Killer. I can't help it. It cracks me up. So dramatic, so dramatic. I would love to know if y'all read the Twilight books when they came out, because I most definitely did. Look at that shade, just look at it. It's so like bam, reflective. This one is not like a multi-chrome or anything like that, but I just wanted to use a little bit of my phone flashlight so you could see what I mean when I say like it's sparkle but not glitter. It has that diamond effect. Let's do the shade Claudia right there. That beautiful blue shimmer. I just can't. And you know what? Forget the whole thing I said about keeping mattes on one eye and non-mattes on the other, because I cannot wait to do the shade Undead. Let me just make sure I have no creases. I just can't help it. I want to do two shimmers side by side. They're too pretty. I've waited too long. Claudia is a very pretty shade. It's reminding me of Skin of a Killer, but in like a blue, less sparkly form. It's almost a little more thin. It's blue, but it also has this bit of like gray to it, to where I feel it could pair with the grays really beautiful, and you could get something that's almost neutral-esque. It's so pretty and versatile, I think. Let me just take a little bit of Undead and fluff this shade on. I took that shade up pretty high so that you can see the holographic sparkle on top of this multi-chrome base. I'm always so happy about sparkle. I know I probably sound like a broken record, but it's seriously, I love makeup. I feel like you can see that shadow pretty good. I blended it out kind of far. So if you look from my eye to the mirror, you can definitely see. Kind of move the mirror around for you so that you can get a good feel for the shadow. There are only 3 matte shades left, so we're gonna eye swatch 2 of those on one eye because why not? I'll blend it out for so that you can really still see on the eye the swatch. So I'll put that light purple here. This is Predator, and I did my best to clean up the sparkle, the shimmer. We'll put the deeper purple right here. And of course I'll go in and blend with my brush in a minute. That deeper purple is Threshold, and then we have the shade Coffin left. Make sure I have no creases in my eyeshadow primer, and I will put on Coffin. Look how pigmented that gray is. It really is pigmented. Predator, I'm going to kind of push it on with a brush. And like I said, these are our last shades, and since I'm fitting 2 mattes on one lid, I'm gonna cover a lot of space so that you can see it, because I don't want to not give you the full eye swatch experience. And I do think it's helpful to see like how pigmented and how easy they blend. So you can see like that purple, beautiful. Here's Threshold. I'm gonna blend this up pretty high too, and I'm gonna blend it out. I've got a really fluffy brush, pigmented, pretty, very, very easy to get how I want them. I'm gonna grab another very fluffy brush and we'll do Coffin. I don't reach for gray shadows a ton. I will use them with like other colorful shades, like maybe blues, something like that, purples, but on their own, I don't reach for a ton. This one is beautiful though. I'm blending it up high so that you can see like how blendable that is. This is so pretty. Like that is so pigmented and I'm into it. I hope you don't mind that I swatched 2 mattes on one eye to kind of get this palette swatched, since there are 15 shades and I don't have like an odd, like I don't have 3 eyes, you know? So here are those last matte shades. Now I want to show you the liquid shadow I swatched. I'm going to be swatching the Euphoric Hollow Liquid Chrome Shadow. This is Love Bite. Love Bite Hollow is the shade. Even with the liquid shadow, I always start with my eyes primed. And look at that beautiful color. Are you kidding me? So I'm going to just kind of paint this on. And this is a multi-chrome with a holographic shimmer. So that's why it is called a holochrome, like holographic and multi-chrome all in one. So I kind of just go over my eye like that with liquid shadows, and then I will go in and I will blend it and kind of pat it and get it smooth and everything with my brush. I just kind of tap the shadow in a little bit with the brush, blend a very little bit. I'm wearing it on both eyes because I kind of want to start an easy look with this, but here is your eye swatch. Okay, so I already have on the liquid shadow. That is going to be the start of our look. You saw me put this on in the eye swatch, and what I want to do is just take a little bit of blush. The blush that I have on is from the BellaBeauteBar. What is this called? Face and Cheek palette. baked blush? Yeah, baked blush. So I use this palette for my face, but I don't want to use like as bright of tones. I want to just go into this blush, which I do have like several of these shades mixed on my cheeks. And the shadow is dried down, it's set, we blended a little bit, and I'm gonna go over my socket. I'm gonna blend it kind of into that liquid shadow. You can see I even put my brush down right on top because I don't mind if I disperse this sparkle. I'm using this small tapered blending brush. This is a Singe brush, and I'm just gonna kind of buff. All I really wanna do is put a little bit of matte shade in my socket. After I have it down like that, I'm gonna pick up just a little bit of the light pinky shade, and I'm going to use a larger fluffy brush, and I'm gonna diffuse even more. And that is what I'm gonna do to kind of like make this look a little more elevated than a one and done. I'm gonna grab the palette I used for my face highlight. I have several shades mixed, but what I wanna do is go into this shade right here. What is this called? The Lovers. I'm gonna pick that up on my brush. I'm just gonna put that right on the inner corner. I'm gonna throw on some mascara, and that is gonna be the finished look, but I'll be back to show you how it came together with mascara. I just put in a little bit of a dark purple in my lower waterline, a tiny bit of mascara, and this is the finished look, quick and easy. For our look today, I wanna do something with the red shades. Like I really am kind of attracted to this top row. I think it captures the vibes of the palette. So I'm gonna use a red eyeshadow base. I'm gonna use my cosmetic paint in the shade Paprika Punch, but I don't want to have it like all the way up to my brow bone where I'm gonna put my primer. I like to just kind of prime the whole area. So right in here, I'll put my Sigma Ignite, my favorite, the eyeshadow primer I use all the time. And then I will go in and I'll put that red primer more so just on the lid and a little into the socket. I'm just blending that in with my Urban Decay brush. I do always try to link or list the brushes that I'm using down in the description box. Something fun about the eye swatches is that I can just show you how the shadow performs like just on an eyeshadow primer. And then for the looks, I feel like I can get a little more creative, like playing with the bases and things like that. That way you can kind of see things both ways. So I'm gonna start with this True red. This is called Immortality, and then we'll go into Drained, the more deep burgundy maroon red. I'm gonna press Immortality right on top of my red base. And I'm going to press first. I'm not doing any blending. This red is brighter in tone than the base is, so the base is just going to kind of accentuate it. And once I have it pressed down, can you see the color difference between the red shadow and the base? I can see that it's definitely brighter. But once I have that pressed on, then I will like clean off my brush a little bit so I don't have so much shadow on it, and I will lightly kind of buff around and blend. We're going for an intense look today, okay? This is a Vamp palette, so we might as well have an intense look. I'm taking the matte shade Drained and I'm putting it on the lid, up and out. So just in this outer portion, I'm gonna bring it up high enough to meet that matte red shade we used, pressing, and then I will lightly blend. But I'm always gonna start by pressing the shadow down to get that deep shade nice and intense. And then I will go in and I will do my little circular motions blending, my back and forth blending, down, around. I wanna get it right in the outer corner out here, and I'm using a somewhat big brush because I do want this to be like a blown out vampy look, not something subtle. Did you think we were going for subtle vibes today? Like, is that what you thought we were gonna do? Absolutely not. I've got to use Michelson. I just have to. Okay, listen, I've got to use Michelson. This is gonna go underneath my lower lash line. I want to put this right here. And if you hear what sounds like a herd of elephants in the background, just know it's not. I'm okay. I'm just actually filming this on the weekend, which I don't do a whole lot, but you may be hearing my son and his friends in the background, and of course he lives here. He's welcome to have a good time. And if you know teenagers, they're loud, okay? Like, they are just loud people. So I think my mic is gonna drown out most of that, but just in case you're curious that my house is being invaded by a bunch of crazy, loud teenagers, it is. I'm blending this shade more than packing it, so that red sparkle is not gonna come through very much. You can still see the red base that I put underneath because I didn't blend the black as low, but I'm gonna take the brush that I used with the shade Drained, and I'm going to lightly blend. I did not pick up any more shadow, but I'm going to just lightly blend it like this to give me a nice intense fade. Every single time I do a red eyeshadow or a bright pink eyeshadow, something like that, I will see someone, if not multiple someones, in the comments saying, I can't wear red, it looks like I have an infection, I look sick. Trust me, if you want to wear red, you can wear red and you will look fabulous. If you don't want to wear red, you don't have to wear red, but red shadow looks good on everyone. I have seen it on all different types of skin tones, like the range, cool tone, warm tone, me being olive, like everyone can look good in a red. Something that will help me, what I feel, if I don't want that like somewhat otherworldly, maybe what some people would call sickly look. I call it cool and otherworldly. If I don't want that and I want to look more sultry glam, putting black on the waterline and having a deeper shade on the lower lash line is going to make that more glam and intense versus otherworldly and intense. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little black on my waterline. I'm gonna make sure I don't have the red right there against my lower lashes, and it's just gonna make sure that we keep the red where we want it and not right up there against the bottom of the lashes. So try that next time you wear a red if you don't, or if maybe you've been thinking, you know, the red's not gonna look good on you. Of course it will. Try this, let me know if it works for you. But again, if you don't want to wear red, you definitely don't have to. But I don't want to hear anybody say they don't look good in red eyeshadow, because you look good in everything, babe. Like, you look amazing all the time, no matter what. So do you see what I mean? That I've got the black closest to my eye when it comes to this like lower lash line, and then it slowly fades out to the red. It kind of like gives some contrast between the white of my eye, the green in my eye, and the red. Now we're going to jump down off of the top row. We're gonna use this light lavender called Predator, and I'm also gonna be using Hello Brother. I just love it. I love the names. I wanna use a little bit of the shade Predator, and I'm gonna use this to lightly blend. I mean, when I say a little bit of the shade, like a tiny touch in the pan, and I'm gonna use this on a very fluffy brush from my Sigma favorite set. And I'm just going to back and forth, lightly grazing my skin with the brush to buff all of this out and make it to where I don't really have like a defined edge where the red stops and my skin starts. I'm going into Hello Brother, and I'm going to press my brush in the pan and do a little bitty like shimmy. See? Like press and shimmy of the brush to get the like shadow in the brush. I want it to be not just on the outside of the brush, I want it to be in the brush. Now I'm gonna take my setting spray. I'm backing up a little bit. I don't want to spray in my palette. I've got my brush. I'm just going to spray one spray on my brush like that, okay? The brush is not super saturated, the brush is not wet, it's just a little moisture on that shadow. It's gonna help minimize fallout. It's gonna make sure like the shade is intense. It's gonna apply like if I applied with my finger, but I don't like to do that because I'm gonna have the control of my brush. I'm just gonna look down into my mirror and I'm gonna press my shadow on. Pressing it before I blend. And I'm gonna put it all on my lid. I'm gonna bring it up here into my socket. I'm gonna bring it out and I'm gonna line it up to kind of end where that deep dark matte shade begins. But I'm just putting it over the red base now. Now my brush is not wet. I just used one spray, the shadow got damp, but my brush is not wet. My brush is dry. I didn't use a ton of setting spray. I didn't spray it multiple times. I didn't spray it up close. So my brush is dry. I can go back into my shadow and do my other eye. Now I think this purple matte would be really beautiful on the inner corner. For a matte inner corner, a little bit of contrast. It's nice and light and pretty, but hello, how can I not use Skin of a Killer? I have to use Skin of a Killer. Now, I'm putting my brush in, again, you can see I'm working the shadow into my brush. I'm not worried about my palette like looking new, okay? It's my palette, I'm using it. I'm okay with it looking used. I'm okay with it getting a little messy. If you want, you can clean up your palette after. I just don't care. I care more about how I'm applying it, and I want to work the shadow into the brush. Now, I'm not gonna spray my inner corner shade because I want to really disperse the sparkle. So I'm gonna press the shade on first and really get the shadow on my inner corner. So I'm gonna press it to get that intensity right there. And then once I have it all on, kind of no additional shadow on my brush, I'm gonna lightly blend it. So kind of up and out, a little bit up and out, just to kind of diffuse it. And so it's not just like a dot of shadow for an inner corner highlight. I'm gonna up and out, up and out, up and out, up and out, up and out. Okay, it's out of my system. Okay, I said it, it's out of my system. I'm gonna put on a lash. I need to do blush and highlight, and I will be right back to show you the finished look. All right, y'all, here is the finished look with the liner and a lash. I'm obsessed, very Vamp vibes. Let's start first with my personal favorite from the collection, the Vamp palette. I love palettes, I'm a palette girly, and I really appreciate this color story and the way BellaBeauteBar laid it out. If you are looking at this color story and you're like, I don't know what to do with this palette, you can stick to the rows. Each row has 5 shadows and they all go together. So if you feel overwhelmed when you look at this, of course, I am here to help you. Hopefully my looks gave you some inspiration, but also like they laid it out in a way that's very user-friendly. I think the quality of this palette is amazing. You saw how every single shadow performed. So, I mean, what can I say that the shadows did not say for themselves? I am wearing the lip gloss. You saw it over my bare lips and you see it now over a black liquid lip. It looks so beautiful, and it's a little like Vamp-esque, you know? I mean, more than a little. In the tube, it looks kind of rainbow, but over top of this black lip, it's pulling very much like red and black and very intense and beautiful. I liked it over my bare lips too, but I'll use a gloss like this over a liquid lipstick. That's why I kind of showed you like both ways, just so you could see. The liquid shadow is beautiful, no creasing, no issues, nothing like that. Beautiful, absolutely fits the vibe of this collection, would pair beautifully with any of the shadows in the palette. And I really like that they included that liquid shadow. And obviously, I am feeling my look. If you love this theme of palettes, if you love Halloween-esque style palettes, I have a video coming for you very soon, but I'm also going to pop up some videos here that you might enjoy. So check these out if you're curious at all. I love to talk about makeup. I do talk about makeup all the time. I've been talking about makeup all the time for years. So stick around and tell me, are you excited about this release for Halloween, for fall, for year round? I would love to hear from you.